Hello everybody and welcome to my cooking channel, Chef Dad. I'm Chef Dad, just a normal dad who enjoys cooking amazing meals for his family and friends. I thought what better way to kick off my channel and the holiday season than with my baked mac and cheese. It's a hit everywhere I go. I guarantee you follow the way I do it, you're going to be a hit at your next party as well. What we're going to do is, I've already taken the liberty of cooking my pasta. Do not cook it all the way. You don't want it soggy. And the reason being is when you bake it, if you leave it a little undercooked, it'll finish cooking once you go ahead and bake it. So, one box of pasta already cooked. Super easy ingredients. Garlic powder, salt, and minced garlic. That's it. Here's the key, the cheese. Do not buy shredded cheese from the grocery store that comes in the bag pre-shredded. You want to buy block cheese that you shred yourself. The reason being, the shredded cheese that you buy at the grocery store in the bag has an oil on it. That oil, when you cook with it, is going to separate. It's going to change the texture and the flavor of your food. So spend a little bit of time, get your cheeses. Today, I'm using 16 ounces of Wisconsin sharp cheddar, 8 ounces of mozzarella, and 8 ounces of smoked Gouda, already shredded up. In addition to that, we're also going to use 16 ounces of Velveeta cheese that I've already cubed up and it's ready to go. This is going to go through the process of turning it into a liquid for the baked mac and cheese. Another key ingredient, butter. I like to use the good stuff, so I'm always a fan of Kerrygold Irish butter. I use it with everything that I cook. I'm gonna go with 1 cup of breadcrumbs, whole milk, half a cup of flour, my secret ingredient, super easy again, Cheetos, that's all it is. I've already taken the liberty of smashing them up to make them look like breadcrumbs. We're gonna be adding this to the mix and topping it off later as well. So I've already got my mac and cheese, the mac portion cooked up. I'm going to dump it into my pot. And now that it's cooked, I'm going to let it cool down. The reason why I want to let it cool down is once I start mixing all my ingredients together, I'm also going to add 2 eggs that are scrambled up, raw. The reason why you want your pasta to cool down is because if you introduce the scrambled egg into a warm pasta, it's going to slowly cook that egg and that's going to change the flavor of it completely. The reason why I like to use egg is because once I add it to the pasta, and then once I add on the ingredients and I go to bake it, that egg is going to help all the ingredients, the cheeses, the Cheetos, the breadcrumbs, adhere to the pasta even better, so you get more flavor out of it. All right? So, got all my stuff shredded up, got my pasta in the pot ready to go. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to make the sauce out of the cheese, and it's going to be oh so good. Okay, so I started out with 1 stick of butter, and I've already melted it down, as you can see here. I'm going to start adding the flour to it shortly. But before I do that, I'm going to take some butter that I've already melted, 1 whole stick, and we're going to drop this right into my pasta here. All right, so we got that in there. I'm going to give it a quick stir. Make sure I get that butter spread out nice and even. All right, now that we have that, I'm gonna let this sit for a little bit more because I want it to cool down before I add the eggs in, like I said before. So let's start making our cheese sauce. This is probably the longest part of the process to making baked mac and cheese. So now that I have my butter melted down, I'm gonna have it on a low flame. I'm gonna slowly introduce the flour, and that's gonna be the start of my cheese sauce. Now, I wanna slowly introduce it and continuously stir it. If you dump it all in there at once and your butter's too hot and you got a hot flame, you're just going to come out with chunks, okay? You want to take your whisk, just move it around, make sure you get all those small clumps of flour out, and then once you get that, you're going to introduce some more flour to it. I'm going to start out with 8 ounces of milk before I start adding my cheese. But I'm not going to add the milk until my butter and flour is already combined and I have a nice little thick sauce going. So again, the cheese sauce is going to be the longest process of making the baked mac and cheese, but it's going to be so worth it. All right, so continue to mix a little bit. Starting to clump up. So I just continue to mix until it's nice and smooth and I get a nice little cream sauce between the butter and the flour. All right, we're going to add the remainder of the flour in now. And again, that was 1 cup of flour. Continue to mix. Again, not a hot flame, very low. If you put it on too hot, you're just gonna cook this and you're gonna come out with big clumps. You're gonna have to start the process all over again. All right, I got a nice little sauce going here. I'm gonna grab my milk. Again, I'm gonna start with 8 ounces. Throughout making the cheese sauce, I'll add more milk. I like my mac and cheese a little creamier, so I'll add a little bit more milk. And again, all personal preference. Don't have to follow exact letter of the law when it comes to, oh, we need 8 ounces of this, 8 ounces of that. No, make it your own. That's the best part of cooking. You make cooking fun, you make it your own, you add your own flavor to it. All right, I got my milk in here all stirred up. Now, you don't dump all your cheese in at one time. So I got my cheese right there. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna start introducing the Velveeta first. Then after the Velveeta gets nice and melted, I'll start adding some cheeses in as well, all different types. Now, the reason why I have 16 ounces of the sharp cheddar and 8 ounces of the other ones, for the simple fact, I'm gonna use half now, and then I'm gonna top the baked mac and cheese with the other 8 ounces of the Wisconsin cheddar. So again, we have the 16 ounces here. I'm eyeballing it. I don't have to have 8 ounces exactly. I'm eyeing it. So, got this in. I'm gonna start to stir. All right. We are going to continue to do this all the way up until the point that we have used all the cheese with the exception of the 8 ounces that we're going to save for the topping of the baked mac and cheese. And then we'll be ready to combine everything. All right, so as you can see, I have got about half of my cheese in here. I've added about another cup to a cup and a half of whole milk to get that creaminess going. Cheese is melting nicely. You can see it's still a little clumpy, but we're still in the melting process here. Now, I'm gonna add my garlic at this point. So I'm halfway through my cheese sauce, start adding some seasoning. So I'm a fan of garlic. So I'm gonna take 2 nice spoonfuls here. We're just gonna drop it in there and we're gonna continue to mix. I'm gonna grab some more cheese, throw that in there, continue to mix, continue to add a little milk till I get the consistency that I want out of my sauce. And then it'll be ready to throw onto the pasta. But this is the point, halfway through, you wanna add some garlic, add it to your taste. I like a lot of garlic, so I'm gonna put a lot of garlic in there. If you don't like garlic, don't put a lot, don't put any, up to you. Again, cooking should be fun. Cooking should be expressing yourself through your food. And me, I enjoy this. So, put the amount of garlic you want. All right, so my cheese is pretty much ready to go. You can see here, I got a nice golden yellow cheese going. Nice and creamy, a little thickness to it. The garlic's in there, I did a little sample of it. I encourage sampling all the time while you cook. That's the only way you're gonna know if it's coming out right. It's the only way you're gonna know if you need to add anything to it. Again, cook from the heart. Make it good, make it your own. I'm just giving you the foundation. Take it and run with it. All right, so my cheese sauce is done. You can see that, right? All right, so we're gonna just turn it off here. We're gonna let it settle for a little bit. It's gonna cool a little bit, that's fine. I'm gonna move over back to my pasta here. The pasta's nice and cooled, my butter's in there. I'm gonna take my 2 scrambled eggs at this point, and I'm gonna dump them in. All right, I'm gonna dump in the scrambled eggs. I'm gonna give it a good stir. All right, I'm gonna make sure that all the pasta in here is nice and coated with the egg. And again, that's gonna help all the seasonings adhere to the pasta, and it's gonna help it bake better. All right, I got everything ready to go. I'm gonna start combining all my ingredients. So, I'm gonna dump my Cheetos in. I'm using roughly about 2.5 cups of Cheetos and then about 1.5 cups of breadcrumbs to start. I may add a little bit more. Add this in. Now I'm gonna go and grab a little more garlic powder. And basically I'm just gonna sprinkle some in. Again, this is gonna be to my liking. If you want, throw a couple pinches in. And then of course, gotta add a little bit of salt. I'm not a huge salt person, but I'm gonna add some in here. Not a whole lot, a couple shakes. That should be good enough there. Again, as I combine the cheese in here, I'll taste it. If I think I need a little more salt, I add a little bit more. But here's the important part. I've added my ingredients to this now. I'm gonna mix this really, really good with the pasta prior to putting the cheese in. The reason being is, The pasta that I'm using is kind of like a elbow, a little bit bigger pasta. It has a hole in it. I want to make sure that I can get as much flavor into the pasta before I dump the cheese in there. So I'm going to mix this in. I'm going to get in there with my hands. I'm going to mix it all around, make sure I get everything nice and evenly, make sure all the pasta's coated. All right, it's starting to come together. I have all my seasonings nice and mixed in. I mean, just look how good this looks. Look how good that looks right there. That's a whole lot of love right there. Got my breadcrumbs, my Cheetos, my garlic powder, my salt. Got the butter coating it along with the egg wash that I put in there. So this is what it kind of should look like before you dump your cheese in there. You can see I got the noodles all packed in with all the seasoning. That's going to give you that nice hearty flavor. That's what's going to give you that explosion of flavor when you eat it. Okay, it's not just about the cheese. It's about what goes onto the pasta as well prior to making the cheese. All right, so I got this all done. Got my cheese ready to go. I'm gonna start slowly pouring it in here before I put it in my pan to make sure everything is spread evenly throughout. All right, so I already went ahead. I poured my mac and cheese into 2 pans, 2 different parties, so I separated it up equally. Now, I took the remainder of my breadcrumbs and the remainder of my Cheetos, poured it over the top. I also took the remainder of my sharp cheddar, and I also left a little bit of the smoked Gouda as well. So I topped it with 2 different cheeses again, plus I also added about 5 tabs of butter to each pan, 1 in the middle, and then 1 on each corner. So this is what it's gonna look like, and if mac and cheese could be sexy, this would be sexy mac and cheese. All right, I got everything topped up. Bake time total is gonna be approximately 40 to 45 minutes. I'm gonna do half of it covered, the other half uncovered. Reason why I wanna cover it the first half, it's gonna keep it nice and moist for the first 20 to 25 minutes of baking. Then I'm gonna remove the foil halfway through, and what I'll do then is I'll remove the foil, and then that'll allow that top layer to become nice and crispy to give it an added layer of flavor. Give you that crispiness on the top, and then that nice warmy, gooey mac and cheese underneath that layer of crust. All right, 350 is where my oven is gonna be set at, so I'm preheating now. I'm gonna cover them up. I'm gonna bake them 20 to 25 minutes, remove the foil, and then also put them back in once the foil is removed, about another 20, 25 minutes. That one you pretty much want to eyeball and remove them once that crust turns that golden brown you're looking for. So just a quick recap. I got my Cheetos, got my 3 different cheeses, plus my Velveeta. I have my butter, I have the pasta that I used. 1 stick of butter went into the cheese sauce, 1 stick of butter went into the pasta, and then also the scrambled eggs. 2 eggs went into the pasta once it cooled. Once everything was combined together, I dumped all my seasonings into the pot where the pasta was, made sure everything combined nicely together. Once that was done, cheese sauce went over it, and voila, here we are. I combined the cheese sauce and the pasta, 2 separate trays, and we're ready to bake it. See you guys soon. Timer just went off. We are 20 minutes into the bake. Look how gorgeous that looks. I just uncovered it. I'm going to throw it in for another 20, 25 minutes so I get that nice crust on top that I'm looking for from the breadcrumbs and the Cheetos. Just gives it that added layer of flavor combined with the mac and cheese, nice warm and gooey once it's all finished. Thank you everyone for watching. Stay tuned for more recipes, especially my traditional Puerto Rican coquito, which I'll be making in the next couple weeks to take us into Christmas. If you enjoyed, please give me a thumbs up. Also, please subscribe to my channel, Chef Dad, just a normal dad making amazing meals for his friends and families. Take care, everyone, and thank you again.